we've been having a lot of bedside chats, haven't we? Eventually I'm going to move back over to my desk, but, you know, for now, I mean, with the blinds closed because it gets so hot, it's just not worth it. Also, you're very curious about this video's title, especially if you saw my Twitter last night, where I posted, hey, something like, hey, if y'all could pray for me, I'm going to the doctor tomorrow because I have rectal bleeding. So, we're going to breeze through my other health stuff, and then we're going to talk about that, because I am living for the suspense. Also, I'm drinking tea for the first time. It's orange and spice. I don't know. It looks very dark. It looks very hot. We're going to see. It's out of a Presbyterian mug, because I am church trash. So, let's get started. Pain has been good this month. I walked 44 miles in 5 days, but that was last month, so, I mean, it's the third day of August, like, pain is fine. So, there's not a lot to talk about this month yet. But since the last update, pain's been fine. That walking, I did way more walking than I thought was possible for me. And I felt really good. I also felt really bad. And I think I actually shouldn't have done all that walking because my knees have been hurting more than usual since then. So I think I may have permanently deteriorated them a little bit, but it's fine. If you're watching and you're one of the 2 people who could have gotten me transportation, don't feel bad. It's my fault. I did this to myself. Mentally, I've been good. I've been really appreciative, which is good. It's just I've been in a good place. And, what else is there? I cut that toenail again, so that was infected for a little bit, but it's fine now. I've been feeling off-kilter a lot. Just, like, not quite right. Which, I mean, probably a cold or something. And now we're going to talk about the title of this video. First I'm going to try this tea, though, I think. It's a little too hot, but... it's a lot too hot. But I found flavor in there amidst the heat, and that's really good. I like that tea. I like that tea. I like tea. This is news to me. Anyway. So about 5 o'clock last night, I was sitting on the toilet, as people do, and I had a sudden onset of diarrhea, and then I'm like, this feels different, so I wipe, and I'm like, oh, I finally started my late period. My cycle's now weird. So I go to, like, wipe at the front, and there's nothing there. Like, I mean, there's a little pee, but there's nothing there. So I'm like, this is weird. So I go wipe in the back, and there's a little less, but still a lot of bright red blood. And then I wipe a third time, and there's a little less. So I call my mom, and I'm like, what the heck do I do? And so she has me, like, she kind of looks a little bit, makes sure that it's not, like, gushing blood. It wasn't. And she's like, throw some pads and go to your party that you're supposed to. Because I was supposed to go to a sleepover last night for my friend who's moving to Florida tomorrow, which is not where I live. Like, it's considerably far away from me. So go to the party, but you can't spend the night. And I'm like, this is good. I would not want to spend the night with this happening. And so then my mom was like, listen, just make sure you check before we can pick you up so we know if we go home or go to, like, urgent care or the hospital or something. I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there, I'm fine, I'm having a good time, it's great, it's grand. I love these people. And we're watching a horror movie, and I'm like, I really should go check. So at 10:45, I make myself go. And I'm sitting there, and there's some stuff in my pad. It looks about, like, day 5 of a period. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm wiping, there's nothing here. And then I'm like, I really have to go. I really have to poo. And I don't want to strain because, like, you know, this could be hemorrhoids or something. And I don't want, like, total prolapse or whatever. So I kind of just, like, run my finger under the water. and I poke it up in there, and I sort of, like, guide some poop out, which is gross, but, you know, it's better than, like, busting open my entire thing. And then there's a lot of blood on my finger, and then there's some on the toilet paper, and I'm like, oh crap. But not as much as there was before, so whatever. So I'm like, hey Mom, why don't we just go home? And I'm like, hey Dad, why don't we just go home? Because both of them came to pick me up. So we went home, and they're like, we're going to make a doctor's appointment. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I actually made the appointment. I mean, my dad started the call, but I made my first doctor's appointment, and it's not actually as terrifying as you'd think. So then we went today. First, this morning, I'm sitting there, sitting on the toilet. I thought I had to poo. I didn't, actually. It was just a ton of gas, but there was, like, blockage or something. I don't know. Usually, it just takes a while of walking and being up for my system to start, so that's not abnormal, but I was worried all the same. So I kind of go poking around up there, and there's, like, one streak of sort of dark blood in, like, mucus on my finger, and then I poke up there again, and there's a streak of darker blood. And here's the thing, bright red blood means it comes from, like, closer to the exit, and dark blood usually comes from, like, your stomach or something weird like that, which is far worse. So those dark streaks were kind of concerning me. In retrospect, maybe they were clots. Maybe they were just traces of old blood. So I go to the doctor, I'm like, yo, what up, doc? I'm sitting there, and the nurse is taking my blood pressure, and she's like, so what are you here for? And I'm like, rectal bleeding, and she's like, oh. I say she, I don't actually know their gender. I'm sorry, nurse. Anyway, so then I go, and I sit, and my doctor's like, okay, I've asked you all these questions. I gotta poke up your butt now. So, I mean, my mom left. Good job, Mom. Like, I bring my mom to doctor's appointments, A, because I am barely an adult, and B, because she herself is a doctor, and so she knows what she's doing. But she does not need to be present for a rectal exam like that. There is a line, and that is crossing it. Okay. So she left. Doctor's poking up in my butt, and I'm like, I never thought this would be how my first time would be. I said that to my mom later, not to my doctor. That would be weird to say to your doctor. Don't do that. This is some solid tea. So then she's poking around up there. She's using lube, which, like, I'm like, I got lube in my butt, and it wasn't bad. And then afterwards she was like, why didn't that hurt? That should have hurt. I'm like, ugh. She's like, you must have a really high pain tolerance. I'm like, yeah. So then we're talking, and she's like, okay, I see what's called an anal fissure on your butt crack, which is basically just a tear in the tissue. So, like, not in the rectum, but, you know, behind it, there's a tear. And then apparently I have 2 hemorrhoids in my rectum. Which is actually not a massive surprise, considering there's a link between Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, specifically the hypermobility type, but, you know, all of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and hemorrhoids, just because our tissue is so weak. So, I have cream, and I'm supposed to, like, take 3 baths a day or something. And, it's a thing, and I'll get better, and then this will happen again at some point in my life. Ideally not for a long time. So yeah. Things to note: if you're bleeding out your bum, go see a doctor. Even if you know what's up. But also, if you're bleeding out your bum, it's probably not cancer. It's probably hemorrhoids. And I know, when I was like 6, I would see those commercials that were like, if you have hemorrhoids, for those like 80-year-old people, and I thought they were terrifying and gross, and they just happen sometimes, you know, like, not much you can do. You just gotta take care of yourself and eat more fiber. And so that's the most recent health update. Also, I know this is really unrelated, but happy Easter, and I love you all, and I thought about bringing my brother on to just make him sit there while I tell him I love him, but, then I decided I needed to make this video instead. So I'm gonna go tell him, and I'm gonna drink some tea, and I'm gonna, I guess, bathe. It's not really bathing, it's just sitting in hot water for 15 minutes. And now, to quote Mamrie Hart, Hannah Hart, and Grace Helbig, good luck with your butthole. I hope you have a great